Yeah.
We recording?
Yeah.
Didn't say we were.
I heard it.
Yeah,
Recording.
okay. Please, welcome everybody. Please join the pledge of allegiance. The pledge of allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, everyone. If you're wondering why Chuck isn't here, if you haven't heard, Chuck tendered his resignation this week, so. We have to, Chris and I, to appoint somebody to fill his seat till election in March, so if anybody's interested, get your name into Audrey. We'll consider it. Probably pick the one that gives us the most money in return. Yeah, we'll be looking for somebody, so. I make a motion to approve the minutes of April 18th, 2023.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. In the mail folder, we had one elderly exemption, 3 timber tax, 1 intent to cut, and 1 personal action form. Make a motion to approve a manifest dated May 2nd in the amount of $576.29.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion to approve a manifest dated May 4th for $396.93.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And also a manifest dated May 4th for $68,441.38.
Moved. You already made the motion.
Yeah,
Second.
moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Tyler, you're first up.
Okay. Well, talk about the elephant in the room here. This is our new canine Zeus. He's a 20-month-old Dutch Shepherd. He came to us about 2 weeks ago from Germany. He's got a basic training, basic obedience. He's going to be a dual purpose patrol dog. So he'll be trained in criminal apprehension, tracking, article search, as well as narcotics. So we got like I said, he's got a baseline right now. Him and I are training together. We're more or less learning each other at the moment. And due to some more generous donations, we've actually received enough to put him through patrol school this summer right here in town. I have a trainer coming up from Florida, which will end in a certification after 10 weeks. Any questions? Anybody want to meet him?
Dutch Shepherd?
Yeah, he's a Dutch
Not
Shepherd.
a German Shepherd.
Nope.
I like Dutch Shepherd. I'm okay. Thanks for that,
Hi, Zeus.
But it couldn't have been possible without the support from the town and all the whole community. And I just want to say thank you all for making this happen. It's been a lifelong dream of mine. So
Does he live with you?
yeah, he lives with me. He gets along great. I think he likes my girlfriend more than he likes me. I'm serious.
Who's that one?
Yeah, he's very smart. I mean, this is basically him all the time until it's time to go. He's got a pretty good on-off switch.
So is he going with you when you're on duty now?
Yep, he rides around with me. We do a little bit of training each and every day, a lot of obedience right now, just kind of getting used to one another. And then we train 1 day a week for 8 hours a day,
Wow.
which we do with other canine handlers in the county.
I'd like to say thank you for the hard work you've been doing, and your dedication and all your time putting into it and getting him and finding him and putting your time in for the training you're gonna have to do. I appreciate it very much.
It's
And
all
thank
worth
you,
it.
Joe.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
It was a,
It's a
it
great
was a
asset
good
for the
step for you
town.
hiring him.
Yes, oh, I know. He's followed me everywhere. pretty much.
The dog or?
Well, the dog will now, but Tyler, he was the dog.
It's been my pleasure. It's been an experience. I've gained a wealth of knowledge from it, and I couldn't be more thankful. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Good boy, Zeus. And you're selling the tickets.
Actually, the drawing's tomorrow.
Drawing tomorrow.
It's gonna be a little bit later than 5. We're gonna do it on live on our Facebook. It'll be down at Serotech. I'll draw it live. I will call the winner. But like I said, it's gonna be a little bit later than 5 because he's got a vet appointment tomorrow.
I was gonna, you wanna take down my?
You got my number.
I got your numbers. So, but yeah, he's awesome. This is like I said, this is. Yeah, he's gonna stay just like that. And if
I
anyone
don't
wants,
think I've seen a Brindle Shepherd before.
most Dutches
Yeah,
are.
most of the Dutch shepherds are
Yeah.
there, yeah. And a lot of your Belgian Malinois have that brindle color. He almost looks
Yeah, when they
like
grow
looks like a
out, when they
Belgian
grow
Malinois.
up with their fur.
He's gonna be 2 in August.
sometimes, yeah, he's pretty, yeah, he's almost 2, so he's pretty much what he's gonna be. Yeah, he might fill out muscular a little bit more, but, you know, as he does some more training, but.
Maybe a little more little worse.
Yeah,
He
right.
runs lanes.
Yeah, yeah.
I got perked up when you heard sauerbraten.
Yeah.
Probably knows what it is. I know that some of the donations came from people that, you know, we didn't necessarily announce, and there's been at least 4 significant donors of,
Yeah.
you know, in excess of $5,000 are in that area, so
Yeah.
thank you very much to them as well. And
Yes.
Yes, we've received, if my calculations are right, we received almost $13,000 in donations, just donations, not from the raffle. And then another almost, I think, 3 from the raffle. We'll have a final tally after the raffle concludes tomorrow. But we've done in excess of 15,000 in fundraising and donations. So I couldn't have been astonished with the turnout. Like I said, it's all because of the community and the support.
No doubt.
Good thing they like you.
I know.
It is. It makes a world of difference.
just be thankful Joe wasn't asking for the dog.
No, I got enough now.
Okay,
Thank you.
anybody got any more questions? No? Okay, moving on, in the mail folder, we had the usual advertisements, but we did have a thing from the state. We received $16,528.63 in a highway block grant. In the business, let's see, and I have a draft for the mowing contract.
I think when we talked in the work session Friday, it's in Chris's folder for the person who reached out to us.
Oh, I'm sorry, just this one we already had, that too, I'm sorry.
And so,
Oh, all right, so we'll table
Yeah.
that for now.
And he,
and you were gonna ask Mr. Evans if he had the mowing attachment also.
no, and he hasn't, yeah, it's
Okay.
not available to use, so.
All right, so I believe what you guys agreed on was that you would reach out to that person who called us and see if that's the thing.
I guess I misunderstood. I thought you were gonna have him call me.
Maybe that was Friday.
Yeah,
Okay, and we didn't have him call you.
yeah, I thought you were gonna reach out to him and have him give him my contact information. That's how I'm sorry, I
Okay.
thought that's how we left it,
No.
otherwise,
Good
because
to
I
know.
didn't have a number for him, so otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay. This is, I don't know. So now that I have his number, I will call him. Okay.
So you're on it.
On it. Do you want to see the draft of the mowing, or you want to just wait?
I think he has one from last week.
Um, Are you available to do a work session?
Yep.
This week?
Yeah.
I mean, because we could do the Hilltops, the Winter Road, and some Summer Road in a work session.
I reached out to the one candidate for the health officer and he declined, so I'll pass it to someone else who was recommended. And then otherwise, you'll have to decide if you want to advertise for it.
Okay.
Okay. But I don't think there's any work session on the health officer.
Okay,
You meant for the job description for the
Yeah.
health officer?
yeah, job description.
The only thing we had to add was the facility, the treatment facility, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's in good shape.
Okay. And winter roads and summer roads. I've looked at the old, I mean, just the agreement is, I think we can just take out the name of the current vendor and over that. List everything in there pretty much. All the roads and parking lots and everything else, it's gonna be taken care of, so.
I couldn't find any specifications from the previous RFP. All I found was the advertisement that I gave you. So what I talked to Lenny about was that I think the contract basically has the specs, like he said.
You probably haven't had a chance to look at it.
If you want me to
Yeah.
take the contract and
He talked about, I'm lost right now. I
It's in
don't know
your
what you're
pile
talking
somewhere.
about.
Oh,
in
You
your
probably,
file,
which one,
It's in your pile.
which one are you talking about?
Winter Road contract.
Okay.
Road. and the
Because you said
roads are
summer
both in
roads,
there.
winter roads, so okay.
They're both in
Yeah.
there.
So why don't I take the Winter Road contract and massage the language to make a specification document?
Okay,
And on the roadside mowing, we just have to take out the mileage because we talked about not doing every road,
Right.
so doing sections. So in this right here in the specifications, it gives the, 42 plus miles of road, so.
Right, that's an old one
Right.
from 2019 or something I found.
So that would look good minus the,
yeah, because we're not doing so many miles of road, we're doing so many miles of money,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, if you wanna let me know what to scratch on that.
Oh, because we don't have a work session scheduled for after this like we did last time, so, okay.
You can if you want. I mean, you don't have a lot on your agenda.
It would be just this. so
Yeah.
We can do that under, well, there's no section for old business.
No, we can do it in a couple of weeks anyway.
Okay. And nothing's
It
growing
won't be,
anyway, so.
won't be mowing
It
until
will,
fall,
it will with this rain, but
yeah.
not right now.
So it brings us to public comment. There's a lot of people here. You can just keep it short and to maybe 5 minutes. Keep it civil, be polite. Women in the room. Yeah. Joe, go ahead.
Can I interrupt you real quick? Just point of order. Just so we stay on what we regulate and orders of procedure, just state your name and your address, just because it is live streaming and the camera doesn't go back there. So the people at home, anybody might be watching it, knows who's speaking and who's addressing the board, if you could, please. Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
One, don't know me, I'm Richard Thompson, 24 Moody Road, Effingham, and I come in for one purpose and one purpose only tonight. 2 weeks ago today, I had the misfortune of losing my son. And I had to call 911. The time I took the dog out on the porch and took the outside light on, the sirens were blowing. I had probably between 25 and 30 people there, between police, EMS, action ambulances, and they were terrific. I know. They worked on my son for about 20 minutes and it just wasn't possible. But I did want you people to know that we do have excellent emergency services for this town of Effingham. So, May 21st, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm gonna have a gathering at Lenny Estes Field in remembrance of Tiger. So, I just want to get before you and let you know that, and Chief right over there was 110%. He's been excellent afterwards, told me to call him anytime. and the other gentleman also, okay?
Yeah.
That's all I've got to say,
Yeah. Thank you.
and thank you very much.
Thank you.
you.
Sorry for your loss.
And how do we get the word to JP? Somebody want to relay that to him, or
Oh, well.
you will? Okay. Susan?
Susan Slack, Green Mountain Road. I've made a request that you make appointments to the Historic District Commission.
Oh, yeah. I got it written down here.
If you could do that, that'd be great.
Okay.
So do I.
I'm making a point. Lost the names now. Make a motion to appoint
I'm in the wrong one.
Maria Crockett and Faith Tomasi.
Martel.
Martel.
So Maria to a full position.
Yeah.
For 3 years,
Yeah.
and Faith as an alternate. for
Yeah.
3 years.
Okay. Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We need personnel action plans for them?
No,
No, okay.
No.
They just could be sworn in.
Yeah, so they'll have to go see
Yeah.
the town clerk.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, took so long.
Yeah.
Anybody
So,
else?
So who's gonna be the selectmen's rep?
I'll be back.
All right,
Yeah, I'll come back.
all right, thank you.
Good.
So it's George Bull, 9 West Range Road, 57 West Range Road. I just had kind of a tie into what you guys were talking about, the road maintenance. I kind of mentioned this briefly to Chris, just in the parking lot. I've noticed that the shoulders where the road's been paved were pretty quickly. And it's even like around the corner of West Range Road, it's already cracking. And kind of by the Davis farm, they're already losing the edge. And it would probably be better if maybe somebody got to that sooner rather than later to get a little bit more material on that shoulder. Because I think one more good rainstorm like this, I mean, it's not gonna look like Conway, but it's gonna really
Yeah.
eat away at those edges, especially as people start pulling over. So like on West Range Road, people pull over to use their cell phone. So they're right on the edge of the road and it's already cracking. And kind of on the same note, when Evans was doing snow removal, moving around, they filled up a culvert basically at the end of the 9 West Range Road driveway, that paved driveway. So I think they hit dirt when they were trying to move a snowbank and they buried that culvert. So that culvert already kind of plugged up and it spilled a little bit onto the road. And I'll try to get to that myself, but I'm like working farther up the hill. So if they're in there, just because there's kind of like mild washout down there, if they're there, if they could kind of get the bottom of that culvert opened up, I'm hoping to do it myself. But likewise, maybe if it's just on their radar, especially if they're coming in with like a backhoe, front loader type thing, they just kind of clean up a little bit. There's kind of the obvious things that always seem to happen on the rest of the road. It is what it is, and they already know that. But that one culvert is blocked, and the headstone kind of got knocked in there, so it's not just like a matter of me pulling away a little bit of leaves or something. And I'll probably get to it myself, but if I don't, just so that they know if the machines out there.
Well, they're supposed to be up there to put that cover back on the.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like if just in case they're there, just to put it on their
Yeah.
radar to kind of get that opened up, because if it dries up again, it might not be that obvious, it's totally buried right now. And then finally, just kind of as a individual member of the planning board, I'm not representing the planning board, but there was a letter that went out that Rebecca sent to Nina about kind of the abandonment of use. And I think I mentioned this at the other hearing, and I was just wondering, did the selectmen authorize that letter? Like, did she go to you first before she did that, or was that just done?
No, I talked to her about it last week.
So like after it went out?
Yes. And what, it's not, it was just kind of like a heads up to them, because the restaurant, I mean, the store and the gas station are two separate entities. So they have to apply for a building permit for each entity. Because the store has been closed. If it kept the store open, it would have been all right. So
So I guess there's a little bit of confusion if it has or hasn't been abandoned. So is the select board basically going with what Rebecca said, or has that not been determined?
it was just a FYI for them, saying that you have to apply for a building permit. They don't have a building permit for anything, so that was what she was trying to relay to them. Is how she explained it to me.
Right, well, I guess and I kind of mentioned this to Chris as the ex officio, but I might just make the recommendation that the board get counsel on if that's a correct read, that's all. I mean, I've got my opinion, but it's not about my opinion, it's just the board should know where they stand on that legally. So I'm, like I said, it's the board's business, not mine. And I'm just bringing this up as me, kind of as a citizen, I don't represent the planning board on this or anything like that. And I did mention it briefly to Chris, but it'd be good to get maybe a little bit of clarification as the select board, not for me, but for you guys.
Yeah. Chris and I talked, we felt it should have come before us, before it went out. But she should have at least told us it was going out.
Yeah, I know she gave an FYI to the planning board as well, so that's how I found out about it.
But I mean, according to her, it wasn't pinning anybody's ears back, or it was just saying that, now that they can proceed, they still have to remember they gotta get building permits. That's how she explained it to me.
If I may.
Yeah.
So we did talk about it at the planning board hearing. The first time when we talked about it on the phone, Lenny told me that he was going to be speaking with her on Thursday, which he did. We talked about it on Friday. Friday was a scheduled work session. I didn't feel it was appropriate to have that discussion in a work session. So I have it in my notes to bring it up tonight. Briefly, what my recommendation as board member, select board member would be. And of course, our comments on the agenda, no offense to Audrey, I went right into this stuff, so not to delay like I normally do, because I take a long time to poke through this stuff. But my recommendation would to follow what you said, and that is to put it before legal to see if it was even, because I'm of the opinion, Lenny and I did talk about this, the building existed, you don't need a building permit, the building was already there, the store was closed, and I guess it's, we could everybody in this room could read one document and have our own opinion of what that document said. But there are people that get paid a lot more money than what I do to make those decisions and those opinions, and I just feel like it would be in the best interest of the town, given the extent of where this has been over the course of the last 2.5, 3 years, to just run up the flagpole with legal to see what their opinion is before we, carve that in stone for that to go to MENA and to their people. So that was going to be my recommendation to the board tonight.
And
I
that's
have
just
a
me
note
as
of what it says
a
right here.
private individual, I totally agree. That's all I was gonna, it's just maybe get it looked at. And everybody's got an opinion, but the best thing to do.
Yeah. I hate to spend money, and legal is pretty expensive. We all know that. But at the same time, sometimes you got to spend a little bit to save a
A
lot.
lot, yes.
So I think this is one of those, this would be a case study where that holds true, that mantra would hold true. So that's,
Yeah, that was all I had. I just hope the road doesn't.
so now that we're talking about it, I think that we should let
Well,
legal
we
in,
can
what
do
you
that.
think?
We can send that down to Matt.
I believe
comment.
Matt has already talked to Rebecca, and they forwarded the documentation to.
Yeah, that would be the, I don't know how, like how that,
So I
Yeah,
I
he's the
believe
outside
that
part.
Yeah.
those wheels are already turning.
Okay,
And because he recommended sending it to the other attorney that planning board and zoning has been using. So that's already occurred and in process.
good. Did not know that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So not to sound like a wise guy, but who made that call?
I don't know if she gave the same courtesy copy to Matt and he called her.
Okay,
I think just like at the hearing we had, I gave Chris Bolt an FYI, I just
Yeah,
forwarded this to
yeah.
him. And he may have forwarded it to me,
okay,
so I just let him know.
Yeah.
And he was gonna get back to me, but he didn't really know what the status of it was, and we're doing the planning board. This isn't really the planning board, it's more the selection.
Yeah. So I guess we're down that road already. Anything else?
George.
No, oh no, sorry.
Okay.
No, yeah, exactly. No, once you said down that road, I was kind of going down that road. And I didn't want it, so no,
Full wind in your hair.
I'm all good. Exactly.
Dave, you had something?
I'm all good.
Hey, Charles, Jack Russell. I was in today telling Audrey about I had some major damage from the road from the runoff from the flood, and she let me know also that Granite had some. And just so you know, Chris, you got that.
Yeah, Granite's complaint was they wanted it graded.
So is there any other roads that have been checked for damage that
Yep,
you know
yeah.
of?
Old Pound Road, Culture Hill Road.
so I talked,
Places.
man.
Yeah.
So I talked to the contractor first thing yesterday morning. I called him at 6:30 and reached out, obviously, knowing, what the significance of the damage that was in Osby. It was safe to assume that we probably got the same damage, and fortunately, we are fortunate that it's not nearly as severe as Osby got. But Ron was out, he called me back at 7:30 and he was out there before 6 o'clock, checking all of the roads. And he gave me an assessment of, this road's washed on the edge here, this road's washed on the edge there. You just stated your road significantly, so there's edge washing. What
On
else
the
did you,
hill, right into the road,
how far into the road? Because
right almost into the middle.
okay.
Yeah.
Is it,
I don't think Ron came up. I didn't see anybody come up today, Chris.
yeah. So I made a note, I'm making notes of,
Yeah, just get me on the list, that's all.
yep, you got it. But I mean, he was out there checking first thing. One of my concerns was the unfinished bridge project on Bailey Road. So that's still
No
there.
significant damage that we're gonna see an unusual amount in our road fund then.
No, nor, I don't
gosh.
believe it's gonna warrant, like in Osby, they're gonna be seeking FEMA or some sort of federal aid or state aid, because of the significance of the damage there. I don't think anything here warrants that.
Nothing you saw, okay.
But
Can I just on the road, like when you get to Green Mountain Road right before 25. Cause I drive my kids to school, so like when the rain was really coming down, the water, that road isn't really crowned anymore, it's not really crowned, it's more banked now. And so there are two like drainage culverts in there that I assume go under 25. They carry quite a bit of water. And the water was flowing on both sides, but what happened is that ditch is not really that, there are a few areas where the ditch is not very well defined. So it was washing out across Green Mountain Road. And once the water settled down, it didn't even look that obvious anymore. And once you look at it, you wouldn't necessarily think that would happen. But what they may want to do is on the high side, so on the side where like that, that like path that goes, that was a waterfall.
Yeah.
And then yeah, but what was happening right after that, the water was getting carried and about half of it was actually going into the road. And there are two really well functioning culverts that shoot that out. But again, my concern is like that undercutting of the road. So if they can just maybe get in there even with a blade and just get that ditch a little more defined so that the water because it wants to go across the street. So, and once I drove back, it wasn't even obvious that had happened in the first place.
There's about 6 catch basins there that all tied in together, but it's grown, the shoulder's grown in with grass and everything.
Yeah, they
over
were
the
actually
years.
working though. They were
Yeah.
sucking the water right down. The biggest problem was it's just kind of the ditch on the side wasn't quite deep and like
Yeah, it's not
defined enough.
Yeah.
And then there were leaves in there, and so that just kind of carried it across the road, but it wasn't obvious. That's the only reason I pointed it out.
Well, Dave will tell them all. You got any more, Dave, or you done? And when you're talking to Ron, he still hasn't got to the transfer station. That was 2 weeks ago when I talked to him. And probably he hasn't got to West Range Road either. It's that.
He had.
Well, that just happened now. So
No,
that was-
he hasn't fixed the the well cover, right?
No, I don't
I
think
didn't think so.
so. So when he's there, yeah,
Yeah.
because they kind of did do that. I know it was by accident, but they're the
Yeah,
they have a
put
bigger
this one
front
out.
loader than I do. And there's a little bit of work that they gotta do there, but they know that.
Anybody else? Linda?
Linda Edwards, 1197 Province Lake Road. The cemetery road, just wanted to see about when it would be graded, maybe?
Oh, it's gonna be cleaned
It's
up.
gotta be cleaned up
Yes,
first.
there's some trees that
Yep.
need
Yeah.
to be cut down. Any idea when?
Yep, so, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, you.
So that was supposed to happen this week. I was on vacation this week. I'm gonna do it myself, because we're having a burial for my grandfather who passed away in January there,
Right.
this month. So I'm gonna do it myself. And I was supposed to be on vacation this week, but I'm a dedicated
No,
employee,
no big
so
deal.
I called my boss, not patting myself on the back, but I called my boss Monday night, give him the forecast, and I said, I'm gonna postpone my vacation for a week because you're probably gonna need everybody if we do get 4 inches of rain, and that held true, so we worked 14 hours last night, and I left early today, but they're still at work right now, so because of the significant damage in the town of Boston. We had 5 roads completely closed. One didn't open up until about 1 o'clock today, so. So it will be, if weather holds, I am starting my vacation tomorrow. So hopefully it doesn't rain too bad tonight.
Yeah, a lot of blow down up in there, it looked like. all
Yeah,
this.
yeah, a lot of blowdown. The road itself really isn't in that bad a shape, but there are trees that need to be cut that are leaned
Right.
over, and there's a lot of cleanup to be done, so. Hopefully that'll be addressed starting tomorrow or Thursday.
Sounds great. And one other thing. Is there any way we always are talking about getting a grant or something? Is there any way we can form a committee or something, pay for somebody to get a grant for a multi-purpose building, including the police department? Right here, get rid of this one, put one in, look into a grant for it.
I was hoping I was gonna be an old man before I ever had this conversation, but I guess that day's reached, huh?
I'm just asking about a grant.
She didn't mention you guys.
Yes, she did.
Oh,
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, we had a doorknob fall.
It just fell over. I turned it.
As long as the cell door doesn't accidentally swing. open.
What's
What
that
is
door?
that?
Well, it becomes a cell when the doorknob comes out, right?
That's true, I guess.
I know they,
We have asbestos in this building, correct?
yeah,
Isn't there any way we can get any help with any of that? grant to
JT,
remove it.
JT is
municipality.
looking into that.
Who is?
JT, fire chief,
Great,
because there's a bunch of grants for firefighters and stuff, so
police department,
probably police.
They're out
must
there.
be
Yeah.
somewhere,
Yep.
yeah.
So
Yep.
there's money there, I guess, just going how to apply for it, I guess.
So
We had that study done on the police department. I don't remember, you were on the study or not?
No,
We had the insurance company. come in. Yeah.
oh, they told us what was wrong
Yeah.
with you building.
Which is everything.
Well, they said it was good.
No.
What happens then?
So the grant that the town got for the Snow Road Bridge, that's a rural development
Right.
community facilities
Yeah,
grant.
right, I guess
That
that's
would-
right.
That would, you could get that kind of grant for like a building like that.
so that's
Yeah, we're
But
talking,
I don't think it's 100%, I think it's
Yeah.
like 55%.
yeah, we're probably talking $1 million at least for the building.
how much space does
5
it need?
million.
Well, they got a dog now.
Yeah, it depends how many people the dog catches.
That's
The
right.
dog needs his own couch.
Right.
So, may I?
Yeah.
I won't try to get off the sidetrack too bad. So to meet the candidates tonight, I made the announcement that I made that clear, was running for selectman and not my wife, but I live with an excellent grant writer.
I know that.
So I am also known for being the anti-grant guy in this town, and that wasn't the case at all. It's, if you can spend $200,000 of taxpayers' money, which is sometimes half of what we contribute for projects by doing not a mediocre, but an alternative or another option to some of these projects that we've done or want to do. I think that is money well spent. Having said that, I'm not anti-grant. There are grants that are excellent, and right now you got to strike when the iron is hot, right? So there is all kinds of money out there, that's not even being tapped into. There is FEMA money that is, well, today's May 1st, right? So the May 15th, I think, is the cutoff, and there's millions of dollars that are going to go back that was unused. So the town of Barrington, we're looking at the same grant. When I say we, my wife and I are looking at the same grant the last week to start doing the paperwork and print it off the application. It's the same one Barrington went through. It's the same one another close by municipality is filling out to get a new municipal building or town hall for them. But the town of Barrington, if anybody's ever down there, that was an 80% funded project for a new municipal town hall in the town of Barrington. We went down and looked at it. It's a beautiful building. It's not a big brick building. It's not. It's really nice. It fits the neighborhood. But we are. It is something food for thought. Just because of that, as you
We
say,
don't
the
need it up
asbestos.
here, Chris, but
Yeah.
maybe level would be a good fit.
Yeah, well, the more stuff you put in the building, like if you start talking about municipal complex with the public safety, the town of Standish is a great facility for an example. Town of Standish on Route 35, there's a municipal complex. Everything is there. Town clerk, tax collector, the town hall's there, the police department's there, and the fire department. That's a great building. I'm not saying we should do something like that unless we think we're gonna maybe get rid of Station 1 or,
Somebody's gonna leave us a couple.
yeah, but it is,
More than a couple, huh?
I'm not completely anti grant, and if we are looking into that, I don't know that we're at that stage where we need to have a committee, but maybe like an exploratory committee on like building designs of what we like to see in the community. But I think
We have people in town who do build, who do different things. Would be a good idea, I think.
Vicky?
Yeah, Vicky Kirkwood, 363 Green Mountain Road. At the work session on the 28th, you guys had talked about because of the asbestos and everything and in the floor, you talked about putting a carpet down and then you talked about rubber floor or whatever for in here and out there. I'm just wondering, I hope you're not thinking of putting money into, or a lot of money into this building if you're going to have a committee to work on thinking of putting or building, administrative building or whatever. Or is that something you would start repairing and fixing things in here and then it's?
You gotta keep this roof going, you know, while you go down the other road,
Yeah.
because it's
Well,
gonna
I'm
take a
just-
long time when you go down.
Well, I know,
the
but
other
if you
way.
have a committee that works on this thing. Maybe, and plus Chuck said he was gonna talk to whoever it was, someone that did environmental management or
Yeah.
whatever at the library.
The asbestos.
Is he gonna continue talking to that person? Is this done with him? Is someone else taking over that? It just seems like there's a lot of,
You got it listed right here, we're gonna talk about that,
okay. Alright,
but I didn't want to bore everybody, there was a lot of people here, I thought there would be a lot of public comment, so. That's why
are
I
you
just went to,
disappointed?
no. That's why I went to public comment, because I thought it would take a while.
If I may address that so spending a lot of money on this for the mitigation of the asbestos flooring would be if we took it out. That would be when, because the problem is, as soon as you start making dust, you start breaking it up, that's when it becomes the most hazardous. So taking it up is, now covering it up isn't always, you know, obviously it goes without saying, that's just putting a Band-Aid over a bullet wound, but.
Is it expensive?
Yes,
Put a-
but so thus the conversation about carpet, rubber flooring over the top of it. So that is a, you know, a minimal expenditure compared to the other. But to go to what Lenny said, you know, we have to maintain this in a safe manner and for now until we know. And I've been accused of anti-grant, so now I'm gonna be anti committees, but the municipalities, they get committee to death. And you get all these ideas bounced around and next thing you know, 18 months has gone by and you arguing over a door. So I don't really believe a committee is necessary, you know, right out of the gate. That's all just a.
I have a thought. Rosemary was in back, 1004 Province Lake. Isn't there a capital improvement that we already have people in the capital improvement committee or?
That's kind of,
Wouldn't
nobody's
they-
even
well,
worked on that.
Wouldn't they be the people, wouldn't that be the committee that would really be working on something like that?
Yeah, I don't even know who's on the committee, do
I
you know,
have
George?
no idea. That's
So
what
there's
I'm
a
saying. I
capital
know this-
improvement program, basically, or like a CIP that the town has that we voted for.
Right,
And that's not really committees necessarily working to get grants or anything. That's usually the way it's been working with the planning board now is that the different town offices present what they think their anticipated costs are gonna be. And then instead of having like lots of these funds that we do, if you have a capital improvement program, it kind of takes input from all the different parts of town, and then people in town to kind of agree to it, but then you start, you basically have a master plan of what we're gonna do for like a fire engine, for a municipal building, for cruisers, for whatever, and then it just kind of does it's more of long-term planning on how the money is gonna be allocated by the town. But it's not really a committee that decides, like, you're gonna get this and you're gonna get that, and we're gonna write a grant for this. It's more a committee that's trying to get what everybody, like, here's the wish list that everybody wants. And here's how much money we have, and here's how much money we would have to raise to get whatever, so that everybody just kind of has an idea of the budgeting. And actually Susan probably knows even more about this than me, so if I'm describing this incorrectly, please correct
It's
me.
kind of like a timeline
Yeah,
for when, when do we spend money on the fire truck, or when do we spend money on something at the transfer station? It kind of sets up a schedule.
as opposed to
It's
like,
recommends.
yeah, it's just
not-
when it's
just
yeah, it's
recommendation.
not mandatory, and
Right,
it's kind of now what we're doing is we're putting money aside for a fire engine. In some years, we decide we're gonna put 5,000 aside, some years it's 10. And we don't necessarily know, it all depends on a town meeting. Whereas you do the capital improvement program, it's saying the capital improvement program recommends, based on the input from the fire department, how much money they're gonna need, based on the input from the police department, based on, the dump. And then it's just kind of a budget, and it's not mandatory,
It's like,
a plan.
it's
a
not a
timeline.
financial budget, but
Right.
it's, yeah.
It's-
Financial planning.
It's a timeline to
Yeah.
what I recommended, to where the
Right.
town should be.
Right.
Like a highway department by 2040. or
Right, exactly,
things like that.
exactly, and then kind of working backwards.
So your question would be, where are we at on the CIP?
And I think that what the committee, when they, what was it 2 or 3 years ago when they first put that together?
Yes,
They were trying to start with, easy things first. And so as they continue to meet and put out a new update every year, then new items like this kind of building would come into it.
and it's kind of a two-way street, because they need the input from the different, from everybody who needs the funds to get an idea. Cause it's not just like we're gonna keep putting money aside until hopefully we have enough. The idea is, okay, we're gonna have, what does a fire engine cost? How do we get that funding, and then what is the police station cost if we want to do a municipal building? All of these things, and then it's more of a wish list thing, but it's also then the town kind of can look and say, this is how much money we would need to attain these things. But I'm not exact, but basically that's, so that framework is in place because the town passed a capital improvement program. But it also has to be, that information has to be provided and it has to be populated, because I don't know how much the police department needs, or I don't know what the municipal building needs, and the planning board doesn't decide that stuff. It's just, the planning board had a committee, and quite honestly, we weren't really getting much information back that we could do much with. And I think Dave, for a while, I
was on the phone.
yeah, in the beginning, and it became, with the other things that we were just juggling, it became difficult, because again, it's not up to us to decide.
No, it's a tool for the budget committee.
Yeah.
because- And that's what it is, it's a tool for us to use, so how we can plan the trust funds, that's what it is. And if you notice in the budget this last year, we put in money for the CIP. And maybe refresh some of your memories. The CIP, when it folded, they never finished buildings, sort of what we're talking about. And it was, the reason we funded it was because we knew there was a private firm, multiple private firms out there that'll do a 10 or 20-year long-term analysis of your buildings. So we funded that with the expectation that eventually, if they couldn't get their people together to finish it, we could go out maybe and hire one of these firms to give us the 10-year plan or 20-year plan of where we could for a municipal building, or to replace, just a police building or whatever. So that's the reason maybe you do remember that when we talked in the budget meeting, that we did fund it again. And that was the reason, because they could go out and hire if they wanted to.
Okay,
Hey, just real quick, so, the town of Moultonborough, I don't know if anybody followed that at all. They're putting up a community center and $15 million. So,
But they're gonna have swimming pools and things like that.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I know that, you know, I say all these things that I've been accused of and then that I'm not grants and stuff like that, but for the town, with the tax base that we have, the money that we have, the tax rate that we have, I know and with all due respect, David's gonna cringe when I say this. At some point in time, in my opinion, the town has no other option. We could look at roads, we try to do this little tiny bit. It's getting more and more expensive. We're gonna have to start to think about bonding, in my opinion. We're gonna have to. We have to. I know we don't like paying interest, and maybe I'm all wet, maybe I'm
No, it's
wrong.
the only way we're gonna be able to afford it, Chris, we've said that a long time,
Yeah.
I agree with the bonding is, but you take a look at Wilbur right now. What they put in for a facility, they're paying $700,000 on that bond a year. That would be almost $3 on our tax rate, we couldn't afford that type of facility, could we
No.
afford half of that facility? Maybe.
Yeah.
But that's still, you're talking $1.50, we just saw $2 this year. I know I'm getting a lot of flack from citizens for the $2 increase. I don't know who else in the budget committee or who else on the select board is getting flack, but I'm getting calls on it. I mean, people can't afford it, I mean, but you're right, the only way we're gonna ever be able to afford that, and probably a fire truck, is we're gonna have to go used, or we're not gonna be able to replace one.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have to take those decisions as we come down the road.
Yeah. And it's just one of them things where we're always gonna be chasing our tail because you never really get ahead. I mean, I don't know. It is a tough decision, but sometimes you have to do that. I mean, otherwise you're never gonna catch up. You're just gonna be chasing your tail forever. So,
At least we started on the roads.
and the reason why I say that, yes. The reason why I say that is I did, and they're gonna be putting in pools, a $15 million facility. They're probably one of the wealthiest towns in Carroll County as far as the tax base goes and stuff. And they're still in the state of New Hampshire. I was trying to be, you know, but they're bonding that. You know, you would think, well, geez, that town, how come they don't just say, well, how much you need and just write the check? But even they're bonding that, so. That's all.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
anybody? Okay, Audrey. What do you got? You told me
Gotta wake up
you
first.
told me I rained on your parade over there.
Oh, no, you were jumping the gun because of the
Oh, yeah, one of the things in your mail was,
Stay Warm program.
right, and so I wasn't sure if that would be something you would wanna offer here, or if it would be more successful at the library, because they do their Wednesday presentations to the public.
Yeah.
I thought I could forward it to,
Yeah, forward it to Grace, or do you forward it to the library?
I'll do it both to Grace and the director. Andy, thank you. But I'm in the finance conference Thursday, Friday, so I'm not here this Thursday, Friday. And Libya's last day was last week, so the selectman's office is gonna close on Thursday. There's no issues. Barbara will be able to answer questions and do transfer station stickers. That's basically what's coming up right now. And I didn't write down last meeting what size dumpster I needed for that trailer on Storage Road. What size dumpster do I wanna get there?
I did a 30 hour.
A 30-yarder?
God, I can't believe we have to do that.
Okay.
Well, haul it up your property.
And David Hines would be up there saying, hey, that's illegal camera. Well, thank you.
Great boathouse.
I followed up with Peter at Waste
Be a good
Management.
doghouse.
Yes, it would.
I followed up with Waste Management on maintenance for the compactors, haven't heard back. I followed up with DRA about having a special meeting, haven't heard back. I ordered a tire pickup because I think there's approximately 180 tires at the transfer station.
Do you know who gets our tires? Did we figure that out? Because I asked about that on Friday.
Yeah,
I didn't look back at,
Okay.
yeah, I told,
it's two initials. Something D and S, used to be Bob's, but
yeah,
last time there was some.
I have to order flags for Memorial Day. The auditors are here on Tuesday. And Granite Road and Jack Russell Road need attention. That's all I have right now.
Okay, Chris?
So yeah, I am making a list of the roads. I did talk to Ron, as I stated. The grader operator's been on vacation. He's due back the end of the week. So they're aware that roads are starting to get potholy. He did damage assessment. They did get some of the coal patching done. It was one person doing it because the grader operator is also is Kevin, and he helps do the coal patch. So there was one guy doing it, so he did the best he could. Crap. I think we talked about everything else. Grant, I was gonna bring up George's thing, or what George talked about. So for now, that's it until I
Okay.
think of something else.
How many bags we end up with? Did you count them?
I counted them up until 2 o'clock on Saturday. And there were 82 at that point. I was including bags from the week before.
Yeah.
And also some that had been dropped off at my house. Altogether it was 82. I haven't been to the transfer station. I was gonna go there tomorrow and just get a count of how many bags were dropped off before I go through them, and I can let you know.
Yeah, we
Okay.
didn't get as many bags as last year. We didn't have as many people either.
We did not. We had people who were doing it. Were doing like 2 or 3 times the amount that they should have been doing because there weren't enough people to do it.
Yeah.
It was as simple as that. People were working like a whole day.
I think Evelyn said there was like 109 bags and that there was significantly more per person. You know, the number of people, they picked up a lot of trash.
I ran out of bags. And guy come along and he had a couple more in his truck, so he helped me finish Wrightfield Road. Couldn't do the Ospey end. We both ran out of bags, so Ospey's gonna have to do their end. We did Effingham. Get 10 bags out of this right there. That was an awful road. Anyway, thanks for doing what you do down there.
I don't know if you noticed, but even after the cleanup, have you noticed how there's more trash?
Oh,
out
yeah.
there?
It just gets the,
Beer cans,
Looks
I've
good.
never seen so many beer cans.
looks good for a day.
Yeah, a day.
Yeah. It's,
Imagine if you redo it.
there's one person that gets a Twisted Tea in one of those, probably those dark bags, plastic bags, probably from Abbott's. And drinks it, crushes a can, puts it back in the bag and throws it out.
Yep.
I bet that I picked up 45 of them. At least.
You gotta drink them before they get warm. What?
And those plastic tall
For Joe.
plastic cups from Irving Station,
Yeah.
with the blue in the middle, and, you know, those are thrown on the side of the road.
And the Dunkin' Donuts cups, the big
Yeah.
plastic ones.
There's
Yeah.
nothing that isn't thrown on the side of the
I
road.
pick
Well,
up
this
You
is-
Perkins.
can't name anything
No.
that isn't thrown on the side of the road.
Yep.
Well, and that, actually, I was gonna ask a question, is anybody encountering any needles?
Yeah, I picked up one
Syringes? Yeah,
on Wrightfield.
alright.
Did you find it?
I got the one that you had.
Yeah.
Gave that to Mark, we got, make sure that went in. Did Chuck call you, because he said he found one and he said he called up and left it by a particular utility pole?
Yeah, I think he left it with one of my guys, yeah.
Right, so that would be 2.
Okay.
That's considerably less than what we've had in other years.
Okay, good.
I remember one year we had like about 8 or 9.
Oh, yeah, I believe it.
So
So that's good.
not this year, but probably a year and a half ago, I had 2 encounters with people actually actively injecting.
Right there on West Range.
Yeah, they go they go, either they think my driveway's a dead end.
Yeah.
And, there's a house there that's kind of like a camp, you don't really see it from the road.
Okay, yeah.
So that's, and people back into there, I think it's kind of a one last hurrah before going to, treatment.
Holy smokes.
I mean, it
Yeah, I'm
just,
sure you're right, yeah, absolutely.
and the guy that was, it was like a white van, it wasn't one of the white vans, it was just
No, it wasn't one of those.
it wasn't one of those, but it was
That'd be
a
a
white
problem.
van.
No
but he was-
profiling now.
He was
come on.
kind of blocking the driveway, and my wife, he just left, but that hasn't been for a year,
All right.
but that has happened.
Well, if anybody does find anything like that, just leave it, call us and we'll come pick it up.
Yeah, no, it's,
Okay.
According to
my
Matt,
other
at the
joke too,
transfer
Michael?
station, the safest way to
Can I
do
call
it,
you for my other joke?
if you run into needles, right?
No, not anymore.
Would be to find a way to pick it up by, the plunger end, obviously. Put it inside like one of those sport balls, like Gatorade bottle or something, and close it up. And that can go into household trash.
But I don't think you're even supposed to touch it at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would recommend if you see it, don't touch it, because you don't know, I mean, there's strains of fentanyl out there that could have
Yeah.
residue on those and just, a minuscule amount of residue you can overdose. on it.
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
I would recommend just leaving it where it is, calling us and somebody will come and pick it up.
As tempting as it is, don't pick up cash. No, seriously,
No,
don't pick up cash.
Yeah.
So there was a woman at a local McDonald's, very athletic woman, that was actually part of her detriment because she'd run that morning. So her blood was really pumping, she was sweaty, her pores were open. She saw her dollar bill in a McDonald's parking lot. They stopped to pick up their 2 kids' Happy Meals. And she went into cardiac arrest, 38 years old, because there was fentanyl residue. It was rolled up and used for a straw and a crushed up pill.
Yeah.
So as tempting it is, don't pick up cash.
If it's a lot, just call me up and get it.
Okay, Chuck was in charge of the broadband committee and also the town hall project. He is willing to stay on if we want him to. I think I have no problem. He's done a good job with the town hall project, put a lot of effort into it. And also the broadband committee, so I don't have a problem keeping him on those 2.
Thank you.
I don't either. And I'd like to go on record, the reasons that he gave, it's a double-edged sword. It's unfortunate the reasons he's gave, and I hope they're not true, but I also hope that any kind of disagreements or anything that we may have had forced him to do this. Anybody that steps up to do that, whether I agree with you all the time or not, we're all gonna disagree at some point in time. But not everybody steps up to run for office. I've said this 100 times and I'm gonna continue to say this. Anybody that's willing to sacrifice their time to do this it deserves everybody's support when they're in there. I certainly hope that me being elected wasn't the driving force behind this. And I'm sorry to see him go. I'm sorry that it came to this. I did attempt to reach out to him last night unsuccessfully to ask him to reconsider and to have a conversation and thank him, for stepping up and doing what he's done in the last, since he's been here and being involved. So I completely support him staying on for those 2 things and everything he discussed in his letter to us. So I don't know if that needs to be a motion or not, but I'll make the motion if it does.
Okay, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The only other one, we have to get a new contact person for the Wilkinson Road grant. Because he was the contact,
Right, I sent her a letter today to set up the meeting because it's supposed to be a kickoff meeting.
yeah,
And I introduced Chris in that letter.
Okay.
Because it's a road thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, so we're good.
Yeah.
That was, because that was the other thing he was on. So. That's all I have. thank everybody for doing their road cleanup, Saturday. Someone's appreciated. For those that get out there, I know you, Leo, you and Rhonda did yours a little early, but it's still appreciated.
It's Saturday too.
Yeah.
The whole road kind of house, or
Yeah.
13 bags.
Well, Dave, did you find any money this year?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
Hearing Chris's story, yeah,
yeah.
glad Evelyn's okay. I gave it to her.
I found a bottle of jewelry,
Yeah,
Part of jewelry?
necklaces, earrings, all that. Yeah, sterling.
A bottle
That was in a medicine bottle.
well.
I found it in
Worth anything?
1917.
I think I call that evidence.
And we do have to go into a non-public, so if anybody has anything.
Can I just bring up one more thing real
Sure.
quick, Lenny?
Yeah.
We, just so we don't go another week, the IT money, I think we need to discuss, and maybe in a work session, getting that back online, instead of trying to rely on that.
Absolutely.
And it's been brought to my attention that people still can't hear us. And I was talking to Lawrence, and Lawrence reminded me that one point in time, there used to be microphones up here. And there was some sort of sound system.
Right, it's in the closet. I actually thought of that yesterday, and I was gonna ask David Hines, because one of his prior lives was
An AV geek. I used to be an AV geek.
well,
Yeah,
it was
it was like
sound
serious.
systems for large bands, but so I thought I'd have him help me see if we could get those going.
I don't know if you're open to,
The video is actually less, it's smaller from up there. You guys look like ants. The video from here is better, but you know, I think what I had a call today is it gonna be on Zoom. And so I think some people do still want to attend, and I just need to publish it and then monitor it.
and with that's the new computer that we authorized you, the new refurbished,
Yeah.
and that works fine, and
Yeah.
there's no issues there.
No, you look normal.
It just,
That's possible.
like, years ago when cable TV came, there's a franchise fee that we collect every year from the cable company, at least I think we still do.
Mhm.
So the intention of that was for municipalities, when that all started, to have that money for technology for the towns, and we always take it and put it in the general fund. Maybe food for thought, Mr. Budget Guy is taking that money and putting it into for our IT line item. Because that was originally what that was intended for, when they first started franchise fees, just food for thought.
It was, it's for public access, and that was before the days of being able to stream stuff.
And it's really not a whole lot of money at the year's end.
Yeah.
And
No,
was
that
it-
money goes into the general fund,
That's
and we fund it in the budget. You have an IT
Yeah,
line item.
yeah.
So it doesn't matter on that issue of where it goes, because we fund it in your regular budget. anyway. That comes in at the
I
end.
think we only got like $3,000 last year. Is that what it was?
All right, Donald Trump, $3,000 is a lot of money to me.
I don't know, it's in the computer capital reserve fund, but I did meet a neighbor, and he does that kind of thing, so we could put out for a couple of quotes to have someone come
Yeah.
in. Our IT company isn't the appropriate company, that's not what they do really.
Well, the people that had trouble hearing us could sit closer.
Well, my exact words were, "You bad kids in the back can come sit up
Open their
front."
mouths when they talk.
But I'll get the microphones working for next time,
Okay.
and you'll love them.
I'm sensing a bit of sarcasm.
We used them in the past, I remember that.
But I did tell the bad kids that sit in the back of the room, they could always sit up front, and I was told, we shouldn't have to. Does this sound familiar?
Can I invite you for this one? Okay. Or it's not just me, because I have asked several people what the difference between a board of selectmen's meeting and a work session is. Can you explain
Work sessions when we get our work done.
it? But are there decisions made or motions made during a work session?
Probably in the past it has been. Nothing major that I can think of.
So there shouldn't be any motions made or decisions
No, I
during
mean,
a work session.
some of the work sessions we've had to have a non-public with, and decisions were made in that non-public. As you know,
Mhm.
I mean, those are the kind
Which
of
wouldn't be open
decisions.
to public
Right.
anyways, but
Those are the kind of decisions that get
but
made
if there's
usually.
any motions or decisions made, those should be done during the board of selectmen
Correct.
meeting.
Yes.
They're both board of selectmen.
Yes, they're
Yeah,
both
but
Board of
I mean-
Selectmen's meetings.
Well,
And, you know, and the work session is open to everybody, so.
Yeah.
They're public meetings.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
but
follow the same rules.
but you have, are you having a work session always after the board of selectmen meeting?
I thought we were going to, that is something that we discussed when we,
Exactly,
our
you made
action
a
thing.
motion to make that.
Yep.
But then you had it on at 9 o'clock on the 28th. When people, right?
I actually requested a work session, an additional work session because of the workload.
Because you didn't have enough time to finish on it, right?
Not necessarily because we didn't have enough time to finish. And I know that there was a comment made on social media that we ran out of time, so we couldn't finish everything. I brought that up to have the work, excuse me, to have the work session so that we could discuss the RFPs for roadside mowing, winter roads contract and summer roads contract, which was the stem of, and most of our conversation at our work session on Friday. That was the main. It wasn't a carryover from the other meeting. It was a work session to discuss that. I'm not saying that we didn't discuss some of those things. But to second what Susan said, they're both selectmen's meetings. This meeting, which is what I call a business meeting, is where you have public comment, you discuss old business, new business, the manifest, things of that nature. So you don't have the time to focus directly on your work stuff, your RFPs and, requests for proposals and to-do list. I forgot my book in the car, but we have a to-do list, action things that need to be taken care of that we're kicking the can down the road. Discussions about the CIP is a great example. Discussions about the possibly a new municipal complex. You don't want to tie up your business meetings to have a work session. They're both open to the public. They're both selectmen's meetings. Motions can be made. It is the practice to have anything that has to be made a motion at a business meeting as opposed to work session, but it's not unheard of. It's not unethical. It's not immoral, and they can both happen. And there are times when, because let's face it, I mean, we're all three here. There's a majority there. Well, sorry. So a work session, we still have to make motions. If we finish something in like an RFP, if we come to an agreement, we should vote on that. So you're gonna have a vote on that. That way you're not kicking it off, especially where we have meetings every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So there may be times when it is completely appropriate to make a motion during a work session.
Okay, so you're having a non-public right now.
Right.
So you're gonna have a non-public and then we're gonna come back in and you're gonna do a work session then?
No,
So when is your next work session?
I haven't got one scheduled.
I thought in the beginning it was supposed to be board of selectmen's meeting 1 week, work session the next week.
That's the way it was, but
That's the way it was, but we, at my first meeting, when we discussed changing the time, we discussed meeting times, that was on our action sheet,
Yeah.
whatever checklist. And I made it known that, yes, I work full-time and I've made arrangements to be here so that we didn't have to change the work sessions at 9 o'clock. but I also voiced my opinion that whether it's a work session or a selectmen's meeting, that it should be held when more public could be here. And, you know, then you have the whole, sorry, you have the whole conversation of, well, we've done that and nobody came. Well, if you never change the time, nobody's even gonna have the opportunity. So
Right.
we all agreed on that. And it was agreed upon that we would start the meeting at 4 o'clock, go through the business meeting and then go into a work session. Again, it's our duty to request and ask Audrey to put together the agenda based on our request. I didn't request a work session. I'm assuming Lenny didn't either. It was just an oversight on my part, not blaming anybody. That it's not on our agenda, but it was my understanding that we were going to go, because that's what we all agreed on, it's what we voted on. 4 o'clock meeting, roll into public comment and then a work session.
Yeah.
And I did ask that we have a work session tonight, maybe we could have a short work session tonight to discuss the RFP for roadside mowing, which we kind of did already, but. Does that answer your question?
So that, oh, go ahead. I don't know, if maybe we're on the same wavelength here, but I think there'd be less confusion and less suspicion if you just called them selectmen's meetings.
Right.
And maybe, there are times when you're busy working on RFPs and things, and you're not gonna have this kind of public comment back and forth because you wanna get things done. That's fair, but I think there's less suspicion if you just say, we're gonna have a selectmen's meeting, after that, we're gonna have a work session, then everybody thinks, oh, they're gonna go in the back room and talk about stuff that they don't want us to hear. I mean, that's what people think.
Or yeah, like, even in the agenda, just like, like selectmen's meeting, and then the agenda point is work session. So that, like, I don't have any problems with you guys having work sessions, I'm not, I'm just saying that, yeah, like
It's how
saying,
you, it's how
just
it's
put it,
described.
yeah.
The first meeting that we had where it was that way, we went right into a work session and most everybody stayed. Then we had a non-public.
Yeah.
So I understand completely what
Yeah, I
you're,
don't have any
I
problem
understand
with it.
completely what you're saying.
Yeah.
And a work session's a work session. We did have the public here. That, again, I said, despite the fact that you guys have agreed with me and everybody's made, and I still see it as accommodating to me when they absolutely didn't have to, me being the new kid on the block with my full-time job. I still felt like the workload, and yes, the winter roads contract isn't due until November, but I don't want to wait until September.
No, I don't have any
So,
problem with that.
so, and I think the suspicion is always gonna be there, and no offense to anybody, but, if somebody can't hear what we're saying, so we'll get the microphones up here, but if somebody can't hear what we're saying, there's a suspicion that we're whispering to each other. I project my voice a lot louder. I think that because I grew up with a deaf mother, so I don't know if I'm just used to yelling. And that's the truth. I'm not making fun of my mother. My mother's hard of hearing, but I didn't know her. So, but there's nothing malicious going on, that we're not intending to do that. I brought up the discussion about the microphones, but there's always gonna be the suspicion that something's going on. But I take the point where you're saying, just call it a selectmen's meeting. But then you call it a selectmen's meeting, and if we do have a selectmen's meeting at 9 o'clock on a Friday morning, somebody's gonna say, well, can I talk? Because selectmen's meeting is
Yeah,
public
but just
comment.
say selectmen's meeting, work
Work
session,
session.
no
Yeah,
public
definitely
comment.
put work session, because if your work sessions are twice as exciting as a planning board one, I don't ever wanna have to come to one of your work sessions. So I'd like to know it's a work session and I'll wait for another day to bitch about the road shoulders or something like that.
I mean, whether you wanna call it a meeting or a work session, at least in a work session, you can say no public comment.
Right.
Whereas,
Right, yeah.
An open meeting, it's, kind of, people here, you gotta kind of allow them to talk, I think. So, but in a work session, we can kind of limit it. Everybody's welcome to attend. But it's usually stuff that needs to be worked on, and takes all three of us and Audrey. And then maybe some more people. But then the last one, it was 7:30, 7:45. Audrey had an early plane to catch, so that's why we didn't have a work session then. We did it till last Friday, so. As it was, you didn't get out of here till
10 PM.
10 PM, so.
So when is the next one?
We don't have one scheduled,
We don't have one scheduled.
so the next
So it will be
next meeting will
on the
be 2
website
weeks.
when there is one.
Yeah, next 2 weeks.
You guys wanna set one?
Work session or a
Yeah.
meeting?
We have a meeting in 2 Tuesdays. Do you wanna do the mowing tonight? And, cause that's super easy. And do the, winter roads in 2 weeks after our regular business meeting?
That's what I'd like to do, but I don't know.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna find out what that guy had for equipment before we.
They need to talk, so, well. It was just a little bit of wordsmithing you wanted me to do to that, so I can make a copy, we can make sure we all understand the words. If it's just taking out a sentence, we'll get it done. So do you wanna do that tonight?
Okay,
I do.
all right.
So you're gonna kind of end your regular business meeting, so you don't have to go into non-public till after the work session.
Right,
If people wanna watch the work
Okay.
session,
all right, we're going into a work session.
there you go.
Yeah, right now,
Sorry, I didn't give you 48 hours notice.
Have fun with it.
before,
What's that?
Have fun with non-public.
yeah.
Can I take a copy of that to Lenny?
You sure can.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I get a second.
Yeah.
Make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A32C.
Second,
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Siemens, yes.
Aye,
Thank you, gentlemen.
thank you.
Thank you.
Audrey.
We won't be doing anything else after this.
Okay.
You can hang around outside if you want.
No.
What about the minutes? Would we do the last one 6 months?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. See them for 6 months.
that's a motion.
Make a motion to seal the minutes for 6 months.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I do have 5 resumes I'm gonna review and bring a couple people in to talk to.
People saying your resume.
Well, you know what we should do? We should set a time limit to appoint another selectman.
Well, yeah, I didn't know if you were, if we were gonna.
I don't wanna let it go too long. I don't wanna wait for 2 weeks.
What's the 2 weeks?
It'd be the next meeting.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to have it done before then.
Yeah.
Mr. Racine just put his name in,
Did Vicky say anything?
not to me.
No?
So George Bull did in the hallway. He was polite about it, but he took exception to me being the contact person for anybody that was interested in the planning board. And I said, well, in all due respect, George, if you answered any of my emails. And he said, oh, I'm sorry, very busy. And I said, it took you an hour to answer Audrey's.